Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Terra Nova. This episode's called What Remains. It's a good question. The answer is probably not the audience, seeing as the show was cancelled after the first season. The colony is doing pretty well. They've been able to build themselves a shitty TV show set to remind themselves of the future. We open with this guy, who I'm kinda sure wants to fuck that beetle.
Come on. Oh, come on, no fair!
I'm kinda sure he also wants to fuck the sun.
Hey, look at all the flowers.
And those. Bad news for him, the first dino he sees is a top. I kinda love how the dino's looking at him incredulously. Like it might be a fucking trick and one of his buddies spit on the guy.
Okay, Whittaker. If you see a lion, let me know.
You spit in this?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So after the intro, it's suddenly a few days later. Time flies when you're having fun. I guess we must be ecstatic every time there's no one from Terra Nova on screen. Anyway, Taylor is heading out to investigate the guy's disappearance. And probable semi-reappearance in a giant pile of dung.
That is one big pile of shit.
Why is Taylor going? I would have thought that being the harried, obsessive, occasionally violent and mysterious leader who's keeping all kinds of secrets about what's really going on here would have demanded most of his time.
Lieutenant Washington is in command while I'm off colony. You need anything, you talk to her.
Though, to be fair, he's leaving Washington in charge, and she seems to be the only competent person in the entire fucking colony. So this might be some self-awareness on his part. Anyway, in order to try and trick us that the plot's not clearly going to take place in this remote lab / polystyrene rock collection, they decide to keep Jim back at the colony. So Jim, the prick, has found something else to get jealous at Malcolm for.
So they give you your own rover, huh?
The little car is designed to make it easy for the dinosaurs to kill you from the side.
Chief Science Officer, one of the perks of the job.
Well, I'm the only cop in town that didn't give me one.
It's a small town, ridiculously small for however many people are supposed to be there and all their large houses. And the operative word is in town. You're not going to spend much of your time investigating dino and dino crime out in the jungle. I did some thinking and I think I've worked out the logic behind the rovers. Actually, I haven't, I'm taking the piss, but I'm going to run with this. This is the classic image to explain survivorship bias. Planes in World War II were coming back to base with damage in the red spots. So the military beefed up the armour there, but the percentage of planes returning didn't increase. And why? Because the red marks actually showed where you can take damage and survive. They should have beefed up the armour in the white sections. I think something similar happened with the rovers, and they were dumb enough to take it to the next level. Their original vehicles came back with damage to the front, back, top and roll cage, so they beefed up the armour there and then removed the white bits, the doors. Anyway, Taylor, Elizabeth, and a red shirt have arrived at the remote lab and things don't look good. The doors open and, well, I'll let them explain.
Looks like they've had oversaws out here chewing on the power cables.
Yes, they had the time to carve out a remote lab underground, but decided to put the cables above ground where the giant lizards, some of whom are made of razors, could get at them. Okay, to be fair, that's a Carnotaurus, and it's the ovisaurs who eat the exposed wires that they chose to put above ground for some reason. Either way, I'm beginning to think I should promote my piss take about survivorship bias and the rovers to actual fan theory. But you know, that'd require this to have fans. The colony's been here for about 9 years, the houses are prefab, and the exterior wall is wood. Apparently, they spent those 9 years carving this complex out of the rock outside the walls, and then didn't use the rocks to construct a more solid wall. This is a whole underground base. It clearly took much more time to set up than the whole rest of the fucking colony. And whoever set designed this place clearly tried to make it look more than 10 years old. Did they succeed? Fuck no, it looks like crap. But they tried! Anyway, the other researchers have been locked up in their medical bay. It's horrifying. They're tied up so they can't try to fuck any random things. Well, except the window.
Brady, let's get this door open.
There's 2 guys tripping balls strapped to tables and a zombie in there. Maybe let's not, dumbass.
The snow was up to my knees, but I must have run for an hour straight.
Snow? In the Cretaceous? In the jungle? Located entirely in this lab?
Yes.
Actually, she's remembering stuff from before she came to Terra Nova. The scientists discovered a virus that suppresses your memory, starting with the most recent and working back until you die from it. I'm kinda hoping the dinosaur that ate that guy in the prologue is now searching for his egg to try and climb back inside of that. Knowing that a virus is involved, it's probably a good thing that the show skipped showing us the chief medical officer not even protesting Taylor, ordering the sealed room to be unlocked before she could investigate what the fuck was going on in there.
Brady, let's get this door open.
Especially seeing as all she had to do was press this button.
I know. I have to tell someone about the pathogens. I just can't remember who.
Okay, a pathogen, so that's what's behind this.
I'm guessing he went back to an omni-horny period in his 20s when he tried to distract himself from his sex addiction by eating a roomful of edibles.
So what are the chances we've been exposed?
Dude, you've already forgotten that you ordered the door to the quarantine opened.
Fairly likely, I'm afraid.
Back at the colony, we find out that the smallest of the Shannon larvae has caught a cold.
Why don't we go see if there's anything in this hospital for a cold, and then I take you home.
Just be careful, don't catch your cold.
I never catch colds.
I always wear a coat. And I tell her to be careful where she sneezes. She might delete the whole future. I wonder if that's not a modern cold brought back from the future, because if that's a native ancient cold and it's affecting humans, then they're probably a lot more fucked than they realise. Because, you know, humans haven't evolved yet. Making that species jump, that's a big deal. But we're only a third of the way through the show, so I doubt we'll be that lucky. Josh is spending his time trying to seduce Skye with his guitar. Instrument. Phallic symbol. Dick.
Stop. You're good.
So Taylor's decided to put the lab under quarantine, possibly literally the first smart thing he's done.
This outpost is under general quarantine, nobody in or out.
But it really should be the doctor's job, so I can complain regardless. Anyway, Elizabeth calls Jim to let him know, and hilariously, she doesn't seem to be looking at the screen while she does so. You see, that screen's not where a normal computer screen is, it's further down and angled back, because giving the other person a good view of the ceiling is futuristic apparently. And Jim, to his credit, is apparently too polite to tell her that he can see right up her nose.
Kiss the kids for me. What's that?
That picked up a cold.
A cold takes 1 to 3 days to catch. If only he was that good at capturing criminals. Except himself, naturally. Anyway, call over, we go straight to a dramatization of half the time in the writer's room.
Zoe. Who's Zoe?
Wish I could forget her.
Some more key lime pie?
You know, to go with all the key lime pie that's on your plate already.
Not that there's actually any lime in it, because limes won't evolve until millions of years later. Anyway.
She's on a date with this human match stack. And outfit-wise, she's gone with a potato sack and dungarees chic. Luckily for me, her dad's a creepy weirdo and insists on standing around in the corner of the room, making sure she can't get pregnant via sharing pie.
I should get going.
Right, yeah.
Bye, Mr. Shannon.
Maddie Shannon was played by Naomi Scott, and she seems sadly allergic to appearing in non-badly written CGI-heavy piles of overproduced crap, seeing as the most notable other thing she's done is play Jasmine in the live-action Aladdin. Though she did also play Kimberly in the newer Power Rangers movie, but that's less a contradiction of what I just said and more of an asterisk.
Okay, tell me the truth. Was that the worst first date in the history of the universe?
Yeah, but only because sentient life has yet to evolve. He tries to make her feel better by explaining that his first date with her mother was a disaster, and that she was out of his league.
She was so astronomically out of my league.
Which is fair enough.
But when it was all over, guess what?
You spent a whole lot of time cry-wanking and lobotomized her into seeing you again?
Because I knew that no matter how much of a fool I made out of myself, it'd be worth it.
It's the morning and there's been no communications with the lab since last night. Naturally, Jim's an idiot.
Well, maybe you should send another team to see if they're okay.
That's a great fucking idea, and when they run out of space in their remote lab, they can expand the quarantine to the whole fucking colony and give the virus lots of exciting mutations to keep things interesting.
Quarantine? No, I spoke to my wife last night. She never used the word quarantine.
No, she just described the situation and expected you to keep up. That's her bad.
You will remain here, and as soon as I know anything more, you will be informed.
Understood.
If you did that, you'd ask a science guy for a mask instead of the means to drive to a lab that you don't know the location of.
I need your rover.
And I need my favourite reading glasses that I left back in Boston.
Elizabeth's in trouble.
What's going on?
I don't know, but Outpost 3 is under quarantine. Where do you think you're going?
To lodge a complaint with Lieutenant Washington.
Malcolm is pissed off because he's in charge of science in the colony. That lab is his jurisdiction.
It's entirely unacceptable. I haven't been briefed about it.
The thing is, this is a time when nothing resembles anything they have in the future, and even the geology of the planet is different. This is a massive job, and nothing so far suggests that he's a background in medicine. But sure, he's the guy that should go off and check on a medical emergency that his top medical doctor is already working on. This whole approach to science, where it's all just one interchangeable thing, is literally a running joke in the Lost Skeleton Cadavra.
Seriously, Betty, you know what this meteor could mean to science? If we find it, and it's real, it could mean a lot. It could mean actual advances in the field of science.
Anyway, at least Malcolm's got his head on straight. He gives Jim a mask. Not because it was cold, but to hopefully drown in. And then a shit-covered root to eat.
Chew on this.
Huh? Oh, it tastes awful.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, over with the other insipid lovebirds, they're having a scene instead of a Jennifer Rush music video.
I've been meaning to talk to you about something.
These two are taking so long to kiss, it's not even foreplay anymore, it's 86 play. Oh, the haunted waxworks of Dylan O'Brien and Kea Scaldelario and the Maze Runner finally kissed. To celebrate the kiss, Josh brings up his future girlfriend again.
Just the way I left things with the car. The way we said goodbye, I can't, I'm sorry.
Pretty sure it doesn't count as cheating if they've not been born yet, dude. Anyway, Sky inexplicably wants to help her, bring her here. I assume she's bored and wants some competition.
What if I told you I might know a guy who could help you with that?
He's called the Doctor. No, actually, he's called the Barman, a totally different Time Lord. His TARDIS is a bar, and it can only travel in time and space if you get really drunk.
What the hell is that?
Oh, that's just the main selling point of the show, being driven off screen to save money again. The dinos are once again attacking the cables. Now, we assume this is why there's been no communication.
What's the word from Outpost 3?
Still waiting.
But now the signals are getting through.
Where's the commander?
I don't know yet.
Meaning we have the problem of them setting up how bad these people are at infrastructure. We even have someone lampshade it.
I keep telling Taylor we should sink these cables deeper. It's the nickel. It's like catnip to them.
But none of the payoff because the messages are still getting through.
Commander Taylor isn't here right now. Can I take a message?
What the hell are you doing there?
Being a dumbass. And so are you. If it was just static because the cable had been destroyed, you'd have reason to not worry about Taylor and all, but you're getting through and you see that they're not around. This is a reason to send someone in a hazmat suit.
I'll let you know as soon as I find out. Good talk.
No, it wasn't.
Over. Hi.
Okay, so she's scared and has regressed enough that she doesn't know where she is. It's been a day, that's dumb, but okay, fine. But why the fuck did she keep away from the communicator? Has she regressed so far that she's terrified of the blinking light devil machine? No, because she's lucid enough to shoot Jim. And about Jim, I assume he took his mask off because he just survived something that probably should have been fatal, and he figures it'd be mean for them to try and kill him twice in one episode. Pity this doesn't explain why Malcolm takes his mask off. Oh, Malcolm, you're a fucking idiot.
What the hell's going on? Why doesn't she recognize me?
She seems to have lost all memory of the last 20 or so years.
You know what's weird? This whole thing, but in particular, is that she doesn't mention the fact that from her memory-skewed perspective, Malcolm and herself are now 20 years older than they should be.
As far as Elizabeth's concerned, she's in university.
There's a famous case of a guy known as Patient HM who had terrible epilepsy that was going to kill him. So he allowed doctors to do radical brain surgery on him as a last-ditch cure. It kind of worked, but as a side effect, he was unable to create any new memories. He was locked in 1953 and was looked after in a specialist care facility, where they took great pains to try and not let him know about the passage of time because it terrified and distressed him. Imagine being this guy. You're 26 years old and you look in a mirror and you see yourself as an 80-year-old. At that point, it's lucky that he'd forget again within a few minutes. And what we have here is an allegedly smart woman alone in a room with all kinds of shiny surfaces, who now has a good friend in front of her and she's not able to notice the really fucking obvious age discrepancy. This is the single dumbest thing in the episode, and this is Terra Nova, so that's an achievement. And in case you were worried about HM, apparently he was very well cared for. As long as he believed it was 1953, he was happy. Anyway, Malcolm's going to need Elizabeth's help to complete the cure she was working on, so she decides to bring her up to speed as fast as possible.
Get her back to work. You throw her husband and kids at her right now and just confuse her.
So you're going to tell her it's 20 years later than she thinks it is. And she's gone back in time 85 million years. But you think her husband's going to confuse her?
No, you as her husband's going to confuse her. Anyway, over in the colony, it's time to properly introduce Tom the barman, the friendly neighborhood people smuggler.
People? People is difficult. You're the cop's son.
Probably shouldn't have mentioned all that illegal activity in front of you. Ha ha! Oh well, what's Taylor gonna do? Get another barman? Huh. Long story short, Josh is gonna work for him and try to pay his girlfriend's way, and he promises to try and not reveal any illegal stuff to his dad. Anyway, now that's dealt with, it's time to see how Malcolm's doing. Breaking all the news, or rather, olds, haha, to Elizabeth.
85 million BC. You people couldn't time travel to after the Ice Age.
Which Ice Age? The show was made during one, this review is being watched during one, and the future you came from is in one. Admittedly, those three are the same Ice Age, but like the films, the Ice Age has many tiresome sequels. Anyway, he's getting nowhere, so it's time to bring out the one person she can't say no to. Herself.
Cognitive regression to a point in a patient's history in their past.
I'm so old.
Oh, now you notice it. Your university friend has doubled in age, and now you notice it. Fuck, he must have been a rough 20-something. Anyway, she's convinced.
How long have I been here?
Told you she couldn't say no to herself. Insert cheap masturbation joke here.
What's happening?
Nothing to worry about, just the plot remembering that it exists. So Jim goes investigating and finds the red shirt.
Brady.
Having done his duty and died when the plot didn't need him anymore. You see, Taylor, having regressed to a period where he's fighting some guerrilla warfare, got bored and decided to attack the rest of the episode.
The Crimson Permanent Assurance!
So why is there a breakable skylight in the lab that's better defended than the rest of the colony? Taylor killed the red shirt. Most shows would wait a few more episodes to have one of the leads murder innocent people. And hopefully Jim, when he's finished raping him.
We fucking shit, it's a dinosaur, Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
As fun as that was, and it was, it's also pointless because within seconds Jim's back in the lab proper being angry at Malcolm for maybe being a prick or maybe being a prick with memory issues.
Doesn't feel right, Malcolm, please.
Because he used to date Elizabeth.
As far as Elizabeth's concerned, she's in university. She and I just started dating.
Yeah, Malcolm, please. That's my wife, so keep your hands to yourself.
What happened to you?
The same thing that almost happened to him. The plot started to get almost as thick as the plot. You see, Malcolm has started to show symptoms and Jim hasn't.
I just drifted, but I'm okay.
Now, normally I'd put this down to his plot armor working on the microscopic level, but they actually pointed out.
It's curious. The two of you were exposed at the same time, so why aren't you showing any symptoms?
Which means they're either going to base the cure on his cold, or if they're feeling extra spicy, maybe that shit-covered root that Malcolm gave him to eat.
Chew on this.
Huh? Oh, it tastes awful.
Yeah, I know.
Which would be hilarious. Anyway, Jim's convinced that Taylor's going to try and get back to Terra Nova.
He's trying to make his way back to Terra Nova.
Whoa, if he makes it back to the colony, he'll infect everyone.
Naturally, instead of doing two of the things he's actually good at, absorbing punishment and hitting things, Jim decides to go save the red shirt, who rather disappointingly is not dead. Rather disappointingly, not just for me, but for Taylor, seeing as he's sure he's fighting hellish guerrilla war right now, which means he's kind of a shit soldier. Will he be able to make it back to Terra Nova anyway? I mean, there's dinosaurs, it's not like there's roads, and vehicles sometimes have security features to stop people from taking them. Okay, that answers some of those questions and replaces it with a far bigger question of where the fuck did he find that bike?
No.
In one of the clever bits of the show, Taylor thinks he's the victim of an enemy psyop. Though we have to wonder how much cheaper it would be for the enemy to just drug him instead of creating giant fake dinosaurs to freak out one guy. Anyway, the good news for Malcolm is that his condition is progressing and he no longer remembers Jim.
Who are you?
The bad news is that a dinosaur has decided to climb in through the lab's sunroof. I don't know who the stupidest biped in the room is, seeing as they drop the poor unconscious red shirt and hide behind a door, but the dinosaur ignores the red shirt and instead decides to try and eat them instead. Whoever the dumbest is, I think the red shirt might actually be the smartest. He might be having close to no brain activity at the moment, but at least he's not in minus figures like the other three. Okay, to be fair, Jim has started breaking the cables because he knows the dinos like to eat the copper inside. But here's the thing, they're behind a door, a probably sealed door, and there are cables right next to the red shirt. If he can smell it through an inch of steel door, then he can smell it through the millimeters of rubber around the cable. And he can definitely smell it through the rubber because they've been eating cables all episode.
It's the nickel, it's like catnip to them.
The nickel in the cables, they can smell it! Clear the door!
Okay, now the plan makes sense, but they still showed it reacting to the smell through the door well before that. Anyway, Malcolm's all kinds of freaking out, so Jim takes care of him with some medical fisticuffs. Sure, he just have their chances of not dying, but on the other hand, he got to punch a guy he hates. It's a win for everyone who's not Malcolm.
What did you just do?
You don't need Malcolm. You were doing just fine before he got here.
No, I was cowering in the corner with a rifle.
True, he was probably lying to make you feel confident. I think they were wise to make Jim immune to this bollocks. Can you imagine the horror if they tried to get a whole different performance out of this guy? The living would envy the dead.
Do we know each other?
Yeah. We come from the same place. The future.
Jesus Christ, what kind of writing is that? Boy, am I glad I'm not in this scene.
So Taylor's made it home, and I kinda love how this is 3 episodes in a row where they're clearly demonstrating just how fucking terrible the security in this dinosaur and rebel army fighting colony is. Seriously, them being shit at security is the closest thing this show has to a theme. On the plus side, when he's got his wits back, he can claim this was a readiness test, and that guy totally failed. Anyway, Elizabeth worked out what happened. One of the scientists, they're unclear about which one, but let's assume it's the horny idiot, had a gene for some special alter Alzheimer's.
He carries the latent gene for Gorman's disease.
Gorman's, that's kind of like Alzheimer's, right?
Yeah, only worse.
You always were an asshole, Gorman's disease. And the scientist used his time off to engineer a possible cure, but unfortunately it somehow did the exact fucking opposite.
Resequencing must have misfired, started blocking the neural pathways instead of opening them up.
Don't you hate it when that happens? He then stuck his untested fatal cure into a virus as would have spread its benefits to everyone, whether they had the gene or not.
He must have engineered a virus to use as a delivery system, but then that's how it became contagious.
Forget what I said earlier, this is the dumbest thing in the episode. I mean, why would you engineer a virus that can spread your possible cure before you confirmed if it worked? And if you wanted to cure your own condition, why bother with the virus and not just inject yourself or something? Anyway, to make matters worse, Elizabeth is on the verge of the final stage, impersonating this show 9 weeks after this aired.
No, I'm at 39 hours. Catatonia can set in as early as 36.
Alright.
Anyway, to make matters worse, Elizabeth has found some names she wrote out before she lost her memory. Her family's names. And she's begun to work out exactly who she's married to.
Maddie.
No, not her. It's a bit too exciting for the 90s.
That's your daughter's name.
I am sure his looming is meant to be romantic, but she just looks horrified.
I don't remember.
But you will.
That sounded much more threatening than he was probably going for. His black eye is healing as fast as he got that cold.
Oh, sorry.
We're running out of episodes, so finally it's time for the miraculous finale. As Elizabeth spotted the sneeze, and rather than assuming it's the cold that's protecting him from the memory loss, which is just cliche, she assumes it's this weird medicinal root that Malcolm made him eat because he has a cold.
Chew on this.
Oh, it tastes awful.
Yeah, I know.
Which is just deranged. Anyway, back at the colony, Taylor, who should also be in the verge of catatonia, is continuing to demonstrate just how shit he was at organising this place's defences.
You're not too good at following orders, are you, soldier?
You're right. Maybe they should shoot the beardy twerp responsible for that. Taylor's lieutenant manages to talk him down, though, because she worked with him on the same missions that he's currently reliving.
What a stroke of luck!
You're sick, Commander. You've been infected with something that's got you confused. The war, it's over.
Sure, she looks about 12 years too young, and I'm pretty sure they get the number of years wrong.
Because 7 years ago, you led us to this place.
And she accidentally convinces him to try and commit suicide, and then she shoots him. But that finishes that storyline, and that's the important thing. After spending yet more precious time researching that weird medicinal root...
Traces of animal dung. No, there's nothing in that route that Malcolm gave you that would account for you being immune.
Animal dung?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She finally realizes that it's the cold that's keeping on infected.
I'm such an idiot. It's not this route, it's your cold.
Honestly, I'm kind of sad the cliche went out over the ridiculous root thing. Though I think it's kind of hilarious that Malcolm keeps unwashed roots in his lab to force people he doesn't like to chew on.
Yeah, I know.
All I have to do is identify the serotype, and we should be able to manufacture a treatment.
I think I know a faster way.
That is not a faster way. Catatonia tends to happen 3 hours earlier than this was, and it takes 1 to 3 days for cold to fully manifest. She's gonna be catatonic/dead long before this works.
I think I know a faster way.
He might have a point in the real world, but in this show, medical science has apparently become the exclusive domain of fucking speedrunners. Anyway, she has time to make out with them, get sick, create a cure, and bring it back to the colony, all before Taylor died.
I created a vaccine out of an inactive virus, so you shouldn't exhibit any symptoms.
He was already sick. Unless it's also rabies, a vaccine would do fuck all. I fucking hate it when speedrunners use cheat codes.
Lieutenant, you shot me.
I did, sir.
You're the only security person in this place who can do their fucking job.
Good job.
So apparently, while her whole family were off having their own subplots and stuff, Maddie, the youngest spawn, has been locked up in a room with her cold. I'm not sure who that was worse for, her or the virus. Anyway, in the epilogue, we see that the sketchy barman with the open connections to organised crime has open connections to organised crime.
How are you, Mira?
I'm shocked that I'm not more shocked. He seems so law-abiding with the literal boasting of his involvement in human trafficking.
People is difficult. And expensive.
The Sixers continue to look like an asshole's take on the Somali pirates, all brown and vaguely tribal-looking. It turns out that the Sixers have their own communications with the future, and he's arranging Kira, Josh's girlfriend, to travel through them. Which is a plot that I'm sure will end explosively. Spoiler. Well, this was dumb. Very dumb. Not offensive, except for the Sixers. Just stupid. Much like the rest of the show. I wonder exactly how ripped off people who tuned in felt. Come for the dinosaurs! Stay for the roughly 5 seconds that the dinosaurs are on screen! Catch the virus plot! Be disappointed that it didn't kill more people! Anyway, that was Terra Nova episode 4, probably. Next one's gonna be just as bad.
We fucking shit, it's a dinosaur, Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
If you enjoy these videos, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/DMandahagan. Get early access, request videos, see patron exclusives, and join the Discord. If you're already a patron, then thank you so much for the support. And please, feel free to leave a comment. YouTube likes when people talk. You can just tell me how wrong I am, how my voice is stupid, how I sound like a rocking chair that's in a serious state of disrepair, and has opinions about it.